Big Consulting knows how to jump in front of the technology hype parades. Here's how they do it and why it's fooling the Global 2000 enterprises. Navigating technology hype cycles requires not just staying informed, but sometimes capitalizing on perceptions, even if the substance isn't quite there. And while industry best practices focus on strategic alignment and measurable value, less ethical players have found ways to manufacture demand and project a sense of inevitability around the emerging technologies like generative AI and agentic AI. In other words, if a hype cycle is starting to occur, people are talking about a technology trend. Many organizations, specifically big consulting organizations, make it an art form in terms of how they jump in front of the parades and figure out not only how to jump in front of the parades, but manipulate them. And then once they create it, the larger players, including the technology companies and certainly the big consulting companies, adopt it as their own, claim ownership of it, and make it seem like that's going to be so. And they're really good at it. So the first step, once they decide that they're going to go after a particular technology space, like agentic AI, generative AI, everything we talked about earlier, cloud computing for sure, they commission and publicize bias surveys and inflate potential demand, creating the illusion of widespread necessity. Now, all this stuff, which really kind of gets people to think that there's a big technology party going on and they weren't invited. In other words, the bragging that's going on in terms of how people are leveraging agentic AI and AI agents out there, certainly with the big consulting firms, is at an unprecedented level, but the actual work that's being done within the enterprise doesn't seem to bear that out. And so now eventually what they're doing is they're hyping it up because they figure that it's going to create demand. So the wave of the metaverse, as far as bringing value to many of these enterprises out there, was just a flash in the pan, and people realized pretty quickly that there was nothing there. But ultimately, sustainable success belongs to those who can distinguish real innovation from fleeting buzz.